2023 Elimination Chamber is in the books, so we're going to talk about it right here on the No Nation Wrestling YouTube channel. What is going on, guys? Before we get into this video today, I want to remind you that every single No Nation Wrestling video is available on audio platforms as well: Apple, Google, Spotify, and more, linked down below. But yeah, guys, Elimination Chamber was last night, and I gotta say, awesome show, man. I really enjoyed it. I thought every match, even Lashley and Lesnar, which we'll talk about, I thought was very good to great, very enjoyable show. Possibly the best Elimination Chamber show of all time. I believe the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view started in 2010, and up until 2023, I think this possibly is the best one if you go back through all the years. And I think we got the best, in my opinion, from what I can remember, the best women's Elimination Chamber match, in my opinion, and I think one of the best men's Elimination Chamber matches of all time, possibly, probably like the top five. If I had to go back and look at all of them, I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but no doubt, man. I mean, the United States title Elimination Chamber match was freaking awesome. These six guys tore it up. We're gonna talk all about it. Elimination Chamber Montreal last night. Let's get into the review. So, of course, we kicked off the show with the Women's Elimination Chamber match to determine who will fight Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania, which featured Asuka, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Nikki Cross, and Raquel Rodriguez. We had Liv Morgan and Natalya starting this match, followed by Raquel, followed by Nikki Cross, then Carmella, then Asuka. And honestly, all these women tore it up, man. Like I said, I think this is probably the best women's Elimination Chamber match there has been. I believe the first one was in 2018, and I don't have like huge recollection of like all the ones that there's been, not in like a bad way, like, oh, they were so completely unmemorable, but none of them really stick out to me as being super good besides this one. Like, I thought all the women tore it up. We had a couple of awesome spots in this match with Raquel ramming Nikki Cross right through a pod, which got a big pop from the Montreal crowd, which was hot all night, obviously for the main event, but they were obviously hot all night, man. Montreal showed up, and it would just makes the show even better. We had that spot. We had Liv Morgan doing a sunset flip power bomb off the top of a pod to Raquel Rodriguez, which did not even eliminate her. She kicked out of it, which I thought was sick. Some of the eliminations here, I believe Nikki Cross went first, which was right after the pod spot with Raquel Rodriguez. I think Nikki rolled back to the ring, or Raquel rolled her back into the ring and eliminated Nikki Cross. After that, we had Liv Morgan going second, which I was a little surprised by. I thought she would have been in the final few. Obviously, there's only 6 women here, but I thought she would have been in the final like 3 or 2. But Liv Morgan goes second, which they honestly made Liv Morgan look really good in this match, man. She had a great showing, and the way she was eliminated, Raquel had a submission in, or excuse me, Natalya had a submission in on her, had the sharpshooter in on her, and then Asuka came in and I believe might have put an armbar on Liv Morgan or something like that. And Liv Morgan didn't tap out, but she just passed out from the pain, which I thought was great. Liv tapped out to Asuka, or gave up to Asuka twice this last week, once on Raw, once on SmackDown. So she gets eliminated by Asuka and defeated by Asuka again here, but she just passed out from the pain. And I like that, keep Liv Morgan just that keeps fighting until she just can't anymore. That kind of persona, I think, just very much fits Liv Morgan. So I like that elimination here. Natalya went next by Carmella. I honestly, how did she get eliminated? I don't remember off the top of my head, but Natalya went next. Raquel went after that with Carmella and Asuka just both back and forth, kicking the shit out of Raquel Rodriguez until she eventually went down. And then this thing came down to Carmella and Asuka, which was pretty academic from there. I believe they might have went at it for like a minute, and then Asuka eliminated Carmella. And Asuka is going on to fight Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. The right decision was made in the result, and the overall process to get to that result was very enjoyable. Very good women's match, women's Elimination Chamber match to kick off this whole show. And everybody looked good in this match. Nikki Cross dived off the pod at one point. I forgot to say that. Just like I believe she dove off a War Game. So Nikki Cross just doing these, just throwing my body into the wind dives is just gonna be her thing, I guess. Nikki did that, and then, like I said, even Carmella. Like, I wasn't huge on Carmella being in this match. I was honestly hoping for, Candice LeRae or Mia Yim, or honestly any of the other 3 from the Fatal 4-Way a couple weeks ago on Raw. But Carmella won. I was kind of like, yeah, all right. I mean, she just came back, so we shouldn't be surprised. But she even had a good showing in this, man. The way she was interacting with everybody who was, walking by her pod during their entrances, just talking her typical Carmella trash. She was very entertaining. She, held her own in there with Asuka in the end. Carmella did very good. So I thought every woman in this match, and I'll say the same thing about the men's one later, came out of this match better than they came in. So overall, 2 thumbs up for me to start the show. Asuka going on to WrestleMania to fight Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship is the right decision in my eyes, and the right decision at WrestleMania should be Asuka defeating Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair has held that Raw Women's Championship since WrestleMania last year, and I would say I'd say the Bayley feud was kind of the end of it for me. I was like, all right, I think it's time to move on to something else. And that really all finally wrapped up in War Games. She held it through December, held it through January. Now we're into the road to WrestleMania, and I think it's time to put the strap on somebody else. And I do believe that is Asuka. Bianca, she's really ran through everybody on Raw, man, from some of the mid card to the main event scene. Becky, Bayley, kind of being at the top of that. Asuka's like that last big name minus Rhea Ripley, but obviously Rhea Ripley is going to fight Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's title. So I do believe Asuka should defeat Bianca for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And then honestly, I've said it in a couple of videos, over the last couple of weeks, but WWE's just been kind of not super going just all over the place with the rosters, but like how we had some SmackDown women competing in this matchup. We've seen, Raw superstars show up on SmackDown, SmackDown superstars show up on Raw. You see everything's kind of a little bit all over the place, but I do think that's just because Triple H and team is probably just like, we're still working technically with Vince McMahon rosters on paper, minus, additions over the last, 6-7 months, whatever it's been. So I do believe they're just kind of throwing, anything they want out there to an extent, just to do what they want to do for WrestleMania. And then after WrestleMania, we hopefully, I think we should, and I hope that we do, get a fresh WWE draft. And if that is the case, and Bianca loses the title to Asuka at WrestleMania, I honestly would put Bianca on SmackDown, give her a fresh slate of opponents, and SmackDown really needs some new faces in that division, man. It's Charlotte, Liv, Ronda, being like your top 3, but like Ronda, nobody wants to see her in the main event scene anymore. Liv is great, obviously, but they don't always treat her to that main event, picture, if you will. And then they just got a lot of mid-card talent and lower card talent, which some of those talents are good, but just aren't really in those big-time positions yet. So I think after WrestleMania, keeping Charlotte on SmackDown, having Rhea defeat Charlotte at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's title and be the face of that division is the way to go. And then if there is a WWE draft, put Bianca on SmackDown, because then you have Bianca, Charlotte, and Rhea all on that roster leading the division, and you get Bianca versus Charlotte and Bianca versus Rhea, which were the 2 big rumored matches for WrestleMania before we got what we got in Bianca versus Asuka and Rhea versus Charlotte. So I think that's the way to go at WrestleMania, post WrestleMania. A lot of potential there, but overall, great way to start the show. Asuka's going to WrestleMania. 2 thumbs up from me. Next up on this show, we had Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Now, I made an impromptu video after SmackDown on Friday talking about the potential of Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because I thought after Bray seemingly called out both of these guys on SmackDown that him versus Brock seemed like the more realistic match, and that is still on the table after the result of this, which basically the whole match, I don't need to run down a bunch of spots for you guys, because it was basically, I think, 3 spears by Lashley, 2 F5s, I believe, by Lesnar, and then Lashley, and we're skipping, around here, but whatever. It was only like 5 minutes according to Wikipedia. Lashley had Lesnar in the Hurt Lock, and then Lesnar couldn't break it, and Lesnar just low blows Lashley, and then the match ends in a disqualification. Lesnar gets pissed, F5s Lashley through the announce table, and then F5s the referee, I forget what his name was for this matchup, once in the ring and then once on the outside, and that's the end of it. So I don't know where the hell we're going with any of this. I don't know if they just didn't want to give either of these guys a clean loss here because of WrestleMania plans, but I don't know, a pretty disappointing way to end the overall Lashley versus Lesnar feud if this was the last match, which it feels like with the result of this match, you would get another matchup after this with a no-holds-barred stipulation or something like that. But the thing is, they already did that at Crown Jewel, and then we got this match, and it ended in a disqualification. And I don't know why they would have did it here, and then still had Bray Wyatt call these guys out if it's going to be Lashley versus Lesnar for a 4th time at WrestleMania. That seemingly, in my opinion, from what I'm watching on my television, would be off the table. So, I don't know. Obviously, the match for what it was, it was fine. I'm not going to sit here and say it was like a shit show, because at the end of the day, it didn't hinder my experience nor enhance it watching the Elimination Chamber. But I just have more questions and answers, which I guess is sometimes a good thing. But Brock Lesnar and Lashley, neither of them, take a clean loss here, and I gotta assume again that's because of WrestleMania plans. So maybe Brock Lesnar Lesnar is going to fight Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Maybe it's going to be, Brock fighting somebody else at WrestleMania, and then Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt will happen, or maybe we'll get some kind of reformation of the Hurt Business leading up to WrestleMania, and we'll get Bray Wyatt and a Wyatt 6 or just Uncle Howdy or whatever the situation is there. People brought that up in the comment section of the Bray versus Brock video. I don't know, a lot of questions with all three of these guys. I don't expect some kind of triple threat match between Lashley, Lesnar, and Bray, because that would just make no sense at all. That'd be extremely odd, so I don't see that happening. I don't know where we're gonna go for WrestleMania, man. I don't expect, honestly, we're going to get any answers on Raw. They already have a Firefly Funhouse segment announced for SmackDown, so maybe we'll find out more on SmackDown. We got 6 weeks to go till WrestleMania, but I suspect they'll kick off Bray Wyatt's story. Well, I guess technically already did this past Friday, but take the next step this coming Friday on SmackDown. But Lashley defeats Lesnar by disqualification. Where we go from here remains to be seen. Next up, we have the mixed tag team match, Judgment Day, with Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. I thought this was freaking great, and I put it on Twitter, and obviously I don't have every single mixed tag match in WWE history at the front of my brain, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of stuff, but like, I don't remember a mixed tag match that was as good and as entertaining as this one happening on WWE television. I'm not counting anything else that's happened outside of WWE. When I say that, just based off what has happened in WWE history, this very well may have been the most entertaining and best mixed tag match we've ever seen. I thought it was freaking great. Beth Phoenix and Rhea Ripley, honestly, were the stars of this whole thing. Edge and Finn Balor were in there. They did plenty. Edge, I believe, pinned Finn Balor for the finish, but honestly, Rhea and Beth, I felt like, were the showcase of this matchup, with double power bombs. Beth power bombing Finn and Rhea power bombing Edge was a sick spot. They were going at it a ton in this matchup, with double submission holds at one point. Beth with the I forget what Edge calls his submission, but that on Rhea as Edge was doing it on Finn Balor, and I thought it was freaking great. They both came out looking good, and even though Judgment Day lost, which I was very surprised by, I said in my Elimination Chamber prediction video, I thought it was a landslide that Judgment Day were going to win this match, with Rhea fighting Charlotte at WrestleMania and then possibly getting Finn versus Edge at WrestleMania. But even though Judgment Day lost, I still think we might get Balor versus Edge at WrestleMania, and Rhea didn't take the pin, so it is what it is. It doesn't really make her look bad in the lead up to her match with Charlotte at WrestleMania. But I thought this was freaking great, man. Dominic, his antics at ringside, running to the back just to walk back out a minute later, like, I'm back, mother effer, I thought was great. Dominic just continually kills it in everything he's been doing with Judgment Day. It's one of the best parts of Monday Night Raw. The crowd was all over Dominic during this matchup as well, which I thought was very entertaining. But Edge and Beth won. I believe Edge, I believe he pinned Finn off. I think it might have just been a spear off the top of my head, but it's losing my mind right now. But whatever. Point is, Edge and Beth Phoenix won. And again, this is one of those situations not as grand as Lashley and Lesnar, where there's big question marks. But Edge and Beth, I'm not sure, or excuse me, Edge and Balor, not sure if they will be facing at WrestleMania, even though I still think we could. I think what we could have had here is Edge and Beth getting the one up on Judgment Day. And then I might even make a separate video talking about this a little bit more in detail tomorrow before Monday Night Raw. But of course, already announced for Raw after the Elimination Chamber during the press conference, we got Austin Theory versus Edge, official for Monday Night Raw for the United States Championship, which definitely took me by surprise. I did not see that match happening anytime soon. But I think it's a great matchup. It's going to be awesome. First time ever Edge competing for the U.S. title. I think there's a interesting situation there, which we can talk about again in a separate video. But I could very well see Finn Balor getting involved in that match, costing Edge the United States Championship, and then, Balor stating that he's not done with Edge until he beats Edge, or, one more time or something like that, and then they still go on the fight in a Hell in the Cell or whatever that may be at WrestleMania. I do think that is still potential, and I know some people out there may not want to see it. They might be over the Edge versus Judgment Day feud. Hasn't been going on a while. Yes, I mean, they turned on Edge last June, I believe, and now we're, in February, and then at the time we would get that match between Edge and Balor, it'd be the beginning of April. So yes, that'd be a very long feud. However, I don't think it's necessarily been bad at any point. I mean, every time Edge is on TV, he's obviously killing it. Judgment Day, always entertaining. So if this match goes on and it happens at WrestleMania, we continue this story another 6 weeks, you won't hear a peep out of me. I think it'll be great. If it doesn't happen though, then I think that raises some big questions on what is Edge going to be doing at WrestleMania, possibly his final WrestleMania, not confirmed, but he might go to next year and he might be at WrestleMania 40. We don't know. But it might be his last WrestleMania. So if it is it going to be him and Finn Balor? Is it going to be him and somebody else? And if Edge doesn't face Finn Balor, is Finn Balor even going to be on the card? I don't know what else, all of Judgment Day outside of Rhea Ripley, and Dominic would do. So I guess we'll just talking Finn and Damian Priest, but like they don't really have a clear cut, matchup for WrestleMania if Finn doesn't fight Edge. So a lot of questions there. Like I said, I still do think it's a big possibility we get Edge and Balor at WrestleMania. But overall, as for this mixed tag match at Elimination Chamber, I thought it was great, and I'm definitely glad we got it. And I definitely want to see Beth versus Rhea, honestly, one-on-one after, honestly, they could do it in the lead up to WrestleMania if they just do a big match on Raw, like in the main event one week. I think that'd be great. But honestly, Rhea winning the SmackDown Women's Championship from Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and then Beth just showing up one week on SmackDown and challenging her for that title, and we get Beth versus Rhea on a pay-per-view for the championship, I think would be great. So I'd love to see that down the line. And again, maybe they'll, if they even have any more interactions and we get a one-on-one match, even if it's just in the lead up to WrestleMania, I think that'd be great. But overall, for the mixed tag match, just like I said for the Women's Elimination Chamber earlier, 2 thumbs up from me. Let's move on. All right, listen, I know Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn was a great time, but in my opinion, the match of the night was the Men's Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. Austin Theory defends against Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, and Seth Rollins. Holy freaking hell. This match was awesome, and it just was pedal to the metal the entire time. Spot after spot after spot. And I'm just not just talking your average, for lack of a better term, Elimination Chamber spots, man. These guys were going above and beyond, killing it. Like, I honestly I don't really go back and rewatch stuff that often, especially if I just watched it. But, like, I might throw this on before Raw tomorrow just to watch this match again, because I thought it was that good. As I said in the beginning of this video, one of the best Elimination Chamber matches of all time. Definitely in the top 5 if I, went through them all, and, I'm sure I can remember them. I've seen every Elimination Chamber match. I'm sure I can remember just by looking at the names that were in it. I could probably put together a list for you of the top 5 Chamber matches. Guarantee this one would be on it. This was freaking awesome, man. I'm going to forget some of the spots, so forgive me, and I'm going to jump around here, but Montez Ford obviously falling, or not even falling, doing like basically like almost a shooting star press, the way he kind of climbed on the thing, but climbed on the top of the chamber, but then just falling down the pile of superstars was a great spot. Probably the most insane spot of the matchup was Seth Rollins looking like he's going to powerbomb Johnny Gargano off a pod, but Gargano counters Hurricane Rana or Frankenstein or whatever to Seth Rollins off the pod. Both men go down, take out another pile of superstars. Those 2 spots were crazy. I'm trying to think here, honestly. Like, there was so much craziness going on, and I was just popping left and right that some of these things I forget. Austin Theory muscled up Bronson Reed at one point. He didn't end up hitting a move on him, but just that is obviously impressive. And as I said for the women's match, man, I said I was going to say it again with the men's match. Everybody in this match came out better than they came in, especially Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, and Montez Ford, aka the 3 guys that I think were the biggest 3 guys to look at showcase-wise to take the next step in their WWE careers. Johnny Gargano, as I mentioned in my prediction video, hasn't done too much since his WWE return, but last night felt like the Johnny wrestling of old. He felt like we were watching Black and Gold NXT Johnny Gargano in there. Great stuff. Bronson Reed continuing to look like a beast even in defeat. It took 3 guys to eliminate him last night after he had already dominated the ring at multiple points in the match. Bronson Reed is going to be a major player. He looked awesome last night. Montez Ford, obviously everybody's been calling for a big singles push for this guy for over a year, and I'm in the camp of I'm all for Montez Ford getting a singles push eventually, but you don't need to split up the Street Profits in doing so. Kofi was the WWE champion, Big E was the WWE champion. They never split up the New Day. I don't think you really need to split up the Street Profits either. I don't see Angelo Dawkins, being like a heel that is really going to succeed right now. I'm not saying he couldn't, but I just really don't see it at the moment. Montez Ford, however, came out last night by himself and freaking showed out, man, doing somersaults over the top rope, just absolutely killing it, man, and he looked like a star last night. Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, going to continue to elevate themselves in matches like these on Raw week after week, and hopefully will all be major players and all be even better than they are now a year from now here in WWE. Damian Priest, I mean, I don't want to say he had like the least to do in this matchup, but even him had some great spots in here. Damian Priest, I'm not sure where he's going to be at WrestleMania, if he's even going to be on WrestleMania. I'm sure, obviously, we have Rhea fighting Charlotte. Dominic, I'm sure, will have something to do with Ray. Balor possibly facing Edge. I honestly don't know where Damian Priest is going to end up, again, if he even ends up on the WrestleMania card. Remains to be seen. And then you got Seth Rollins and Austin Theory, man. And obviously these 2 are the final 2 guys in the men's Elimination Chamber matchup. And what a moment. I know some people don't like them, but I'm looking forward to the match at WrestleMania. It's going to be great. Montez Ford did the whole injury angle with him to help him exit the cage, which I thought was great. Only only elevating Montez Ford even more. Like, that dude is going to be such a star one day. But as he's exiting, as they're helping him out of the ring, Seth Rollins is going for a curb stomp on Austin Theories. But who runs into the Elimination Chamber and surprises Seth Rollins? Good old Logan Paul, for the first time since the Royal Rumble, hits the most insanely good buckshot lariat. How this guy has just as good, if not better, of a buckshot lariat than Hangman Adam Page. Literally, like, it makes me laugh how insanely good it is. Just springboard into the ring, or not springboard, but you guys know what I mean. Buckshot lariat into the ring, takes out Seth Rollins, and then could have just left it at that, but instead he follows it up with a curb stomp on Seth Rollins, screws him over. Austin Theory retains the United States Championship, and obviously we already knew it was going to happen probably after the Royal Rumble, and they've been teasing it the last couple of weeks, but pretty much set in stone now. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Guarantee it'll be one of, if not the best matches, just match quality wise, of WrestleMania weekend. Like, obviously Roman versus Cody is going to have a great story. Whatever ends up happening with Sami Zayn, which we'll talk about, I'm sure is going to be great. But match quality wise, just for the sake of going out there and having a banger, no titles or nothing like that, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, they're going to tear it up at WrestleMania, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Austin Theory retains the United States Championship, which I wasn't surprised by. As I said in my prediction video, I thought he was the best bet to win this matchup. However, with him potentially fighting John Cena at WrestleMania, I looked at that match and said, well, it doesn't need the United States Championship. Like, Austin Theory versus John Cena at WrestleMania sells itself. So I was a little bit surprised that he walked out of this matchup as the champion, with especially with some mid-card guys in there who really don't have a set spot at all at WrestleMania, like pretty much everybody else in this match but Theory and Rollins. As I said in my predictions, I thought Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano were dark horses to win. You could easily just have those two guys in a one-on-one match based off their history from NXT for the United States title at WrestleMania, or you could have had, your multi-person ladder match for the U.S. title at WrestleMania with all your, top brawl mid-carders, these four guys outside, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Gargano, Ford, add in 2 or 3 more guys, and it's just all out chaos for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. I thought that was very much a potential as well. But at the end of the day, Austin Theory, who I'm a big fan of, so I'm not complaining, retains the United States Championship, will defend the title tomorrow night against Edge on Monday Night Raw, which again, I am very much looking forward to, first time ever, and I think I'm going to make a preview video for it, because I think there's a little bit more to dive into there, so stay tuned for that. It'll be sometime on Monday, sometime before Raw, but awesome Elimination Chamber match, man. I can't wait to watch this back. I can't rave it about it enough. I know there was a ton more spots that I'm forgetting here, but it was just so good, and as I say in my not my predictions, but my reviews and thoughts videos, sometimes I'm not the guy to come to for spot by spot, minute by minute in matches. I just like talking the overall, talk about my favorite parts, talk about the storylines and stuff. But at the end of the day, Austin Theory retains the United States Championship in what, in my opinion, even though Roman and Sami was great in its own way, in my opinion, was just the match of the night. And honestly, will probably end up being one of the best matches of 2023. And then, of course, we have your main event for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defends against the hometown hero, Sami Zayn. First things first, I thought it was hilarious that Roman Reigns came out first, just like, F your crowd reaction. I'm coming out first for stealing the heat. I thought that was funny. Not that like that was the thing. I'm just saying I thought it was funny for some reason. Sami Zayn comes out, obviously gets an awesome Montreal hometown reaction. And my favorite part, or at least one of my favorite parts of this matchup, was the fact that the bell rang and they just stood there for like 4 minutes just as the crowd just cheered for Sami Zayn. F you Roman chants, a bunch of chants. The crowd was just going nuts and they were just sitting there soaking it in for like 4 minutes after the bell rang. I thought it was freaking great. But the overall match, Wikipedia saying 32 minutes, felt about right. Freaking great, man. The storyline that this has been a masterpiece, and this was a big moment, a big pivotal moment in this storyline. Now, I will say, and we're going to talk about it, a little bit of questions regarding the finish of this matchup. I don't think as many as some other people. I don't think I'm diving too into it as some other people are. Not for some not for a bad reason. Some others are just like shitting on it in a way, but I don't agree. We'll talk about it, but just overall, the match was really good, man. And it felt like, I don't want to say this felt like NXT Sami Zayn, but it did a little bit. Sami just had that energy about him tonight that we haven't seen in so long. And obviously, Sami's been a heel for when did he turn it for 2017? Like Sammy's been a heel a long time, so it just felt really good to have that babyface Sami Zayn back in action. You know, finally wrestling for the first time. Obviously, he's been that way for the last few weeks, but we haven't seen him wrestle again. But he hit all the classic, man. I think a couple haluva kicks throughout this matchup. Blue Thunder Bomb at one point. The near falls in this matchup. My God, you know, I was one of those people. Clear cut, Roman Reigns was winning this match. You weren't telling me otherwise, but I knew they were going to take us for a ride, and that's exactly what they did. Those near falls, man, got me just like everybody else. And I was this close from thinking, man, Sami Zayn almost freaking won the title. But obviously, in the end, and we're going to talk about the finish, obviously, Roman Reigns retained the championship and will go on to fight Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, as expected. But we got a lot of shenanigans in the end of this matchup, what some would call the new Montreal screw job. I don't think it was that drastic, but you guys get the point. At first, one referee gets squashed in the corner, so they go down, which cost Sami Zayn the matchup, because I believe he Luva kicked Roman Reigns basically right after that and had Roman Reigns down for like a 15 count before he got up. Then there was more chaos. I'm trying to think of the order of stuff here, and I'm probably going to say it out of order, so forgive me, but you guys know what happened. We're just here for the thoughts anyway. Point is, Jimmy Uso ends up running down, attacking Sami Zayn. But did Sami fight him off? I think at one point Sami fights him off, or Jimmy gets back up on the apron and Sami Haluva kicks him off. I think moments after that, we get another ref bump with Roman Reigns going for the Superman punch on Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn gets out of the way. I believe he Superman punched the second ref. And then I think at that point, Paul Heyman gave Roman Reigns the chair. Again, I'm a little all over the place, I know. But again, you guys know what happened. Paul Heyman gives Roman Reigns the chair to demolish Sami Zayn with. But who shows up and I don't say as expected, but who shows up in Montreal? None other than Jey Uso. And Jey's just got the same basically look on his face that he had at the Royal Rumble. A little bit more serious here. And we still didn't get an answer from Jey Uso as to who, you know, where his allegiance lies. Roman Reigns hands Jey Uso the chair, just like he did to Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble. Jey doesn't want to do it. Eventually, Roman takes the chair back, starts pie-facing Jey Uso, getting in his face, only for Sami Zayn to charge Roman Reigns. Roman gets out of the way, and Sami accidentally spears Jey Uso. And then I think after that, Roman might have laid out Sami Zayn with a spear, Superman punch, something like that, and Roman ends up winning the matchup. And then after the match, that was it for Jey Uso, which again, we're going to talk about. I'm just kind of run down what exactly happened here. That was it for Jey Uso. We did not see him after that spear, but Roman and Jimmy Uso beat down. We didn't get Solo Sikoa, by the way. Not sure where he was. We got Roman and Jimmy Uso beating down Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens making his return for the first time since the Royal Rumble and laying out Jimmy Uso. Hit a stunner on Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn hit a haluva kick on Roman Reigns. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn didn't embrace, didn't, you know, hug each other or anything like that. Just gave each other, you know, a stare down. Kevin Owens left, and we kind of went off the air with Sami Zayn by himself in the ring, just kind of soaking in the moment. So, now that I call you guys up to speed, even though you watched it, I'm a little confused here. You know, I don't hate what happened, of course not, but I'm just a little confused as to why we didn't get a decision out of Jey Uso. And it's almost not the fact that we didn't get a decision out of Jey Uso, but I just feel like the way everything went down is what I think this is what I'm trying to say. The way everything went down, it almost feels as a viewer like, well, if I'm watching that, I feel like Sami Zayn just got screwed over, which he did, and now he deserves another match for the championship. But that's not what the end goal should have been here. The end goal should have been Jey Uso screwing over Sami Zayn and just solidifying once and for all at Elimination Chamber that Roman is moving on 110% to fight Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, and we are focusing on the Jey and Sami story, which then leads to the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. And will we still get there? Yes, I do believe we will. I think they're just dragging it out, in a sense, going to go in another direction instead of doing it last night. However, you were in Montreal. This was Sami Zayn's big moment. I don't know why we didn't just pull the trigger last night and just like cut the head off the snake right there. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like we're gonna. Is Jey Uso's decision as to who he stands with, whether that be the Bloodline or Sami Zayn, gonna hit as hard as it would have last night? And even though we all kind of expected it, even though it might have been predictable, who cares? Predictability is fine when the story's good. I don't care if it's a predictable moment or anything like that, as long as it's freaking good. And everything has been great so far. And I don't know if they did it, or excuse me, didn't do it, I should say, and avoided Jey Uso making that decision last night to try to throw us off, to try to say, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. You think you know what's going to happen, but you actually don't, and this is what's going to happen. I don't know, but I'm a little skeptical now because I feel like everything that happened last night feels like Sami Zayn should now get a rematch against Roman Reigns, but you can't have that. You can't put that thought in people's mind because we've been so cautious over the last few weeks to make sure Cody Rhodes is staying in the good graces of the fans. Sami Zayn, obviously he's there as well. We want Roman versus I'm talking like as if WWE right now, but we want Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania, but we need to do this Sami Zayn match. How do we make sure the fans don't turn on Cody Rhodes? And I felt like they've done a really good job ever since the Rumble with Cody coming back and the way the story's played out the last few weeks. The Cody and Sami Zayn promo last week on Raw with Cody becoming Sami Zayn's biggest cheerleader, I thought was freaking genius. It was a huge risk, but the way they went about it was genius. So I was like, oh man, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. And then after last night, I'm like, all right, well, we still might get to the same result at WrestleMania with the two individual matches, but I feel like they still left that little thought in the minds of the fans where, as I said, going, Sami Zayn should get a rematch for the title because he got screwed over. I don't know, man. I mean, like, I don't know where we're gonna go, and I still think, believe in my heart that we will be getting Roman versus Cody one-on-one on WrestleMania Sunday, and I still do think WrestleMania Saturday should be main evented by the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I still do think we're gonna get there. I think WWE's just doing their own little detour to try to throw some swerves, throw us off, which to an extent is all fine and dandy. I'm just worried about the two things that I said. Is Jey Uso's decision going to hit the same as of would have last night in Sami Zayn's hometown? And two, have WWE put themselves in a position that we should have gotten out of last night, which is no, Sami Zayn deserves a rematch and Sami Zayn should be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns, not Cody Rhodes. And that you can't have because then the fans might possibly turn on Cody Rhodes. A portion of the fans. I don't want to say all the fans. I don't think this is, as I was saying in January when we were talking about the Royal Rumble, I don't think we're dealing with a Daniel Bryan and Batista situation here. I don't think it's that deep with these two guys. I think it's way different in my opinion. I don't think we're dealing with a Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns 2015 situation. I think this is unique and different. You have two white hot baby faces who could easily take the title off of Roman Reigns, but I just think last night should have been the solidifier that no, Sami Zayn is not going to be the guy, it's going to be Cody, but I just feel like they left some questions there. And now I'm just a little bit worried as a fan that the story may not hit the same on the way to WrestleMania, but I'm optimistic. Roman Reigns beat Sami Zayn in a great matchup last night, and a lot of people are saying on Twitter, why didn't Kevin Owens come out during the matchup to help Sami Zayn? And I don't know if this was just me, but KO and Sami haven't made up yet on television. Like, you may have thought they would just automatically be friends again, but like there's still beef there. Like last night they gave each other the stare down, but they didn't like hug it out or anything. There wasn't a promo between the two guys. Like there's still beef there after everything they've gone through. Why would Kevin Owens come out to help Sami Zayn win the world championship? He came out after to make sure he didn't get his ass kicked extra, but that had nothing to do with the match at that point. That was just saving his friend. Why would he come out and help Sami Zayn win the Undisputed Universal Championship? It's not like Sami Zayn helped Kevin Owens win the championship at the Royal Rumble. I don't know. I feel like people were like expecting, like if we're watching a television show I feel like people were expecting episode 8 of the season without watching episode 4. Like we'll get there. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are obviously going to make up and they're going to be a team, and hopefully, I'm saying hopefully because I still think it's going to happen, but there's now a question mark in my eyes. Hopefully they'll dethrone the Usos for the tag team titles at WrestleMania, but I don't know, was that just me? I perfectly understood why Kevin Owens didn't come out and help Sami Zayn win the title. They're not there yet. He just saved them from getting his ass kicked, and we'll progress to them getting back on the same page over the next 6 weeks in the lead up to WrestleMania. I don't know, maybe that was just me, but overall, guys, Elimination Chamber, great freaking show, and it just made me more excited for WrestleMania, man. We are 6 weeks out. We already got a great matchup lined up for Raw tomorrow night in Austin Theory versus Edge. We already got a couple of things announced for SmackDown next week. It's already going to be another great week on the road to WrestleMania. This has been, as I've talked about it multiple times, and I'll wrap this video in a second, but this is the first full road to WrestleMania that I'm going to be watching since 2019. Because after WrestleMania 35, I fell off and I just stopped watching on a week-to-week basis, and I didn't come back until Triple H took over last summer. I knew what was going on. I kept up with the program. I watched a couple of the pay-per-views every year, but watching from a week-to-week basis, I haven't since 2019. So this is going to be the first road to WrestleMania, or has been the first road to WrestleMania that I've watching since 35, and it's been freaking great. And when is the last time it has actually felt like the road to WrestleMania? WrestleMania 30, when we really felt like we were leading up to the biggest show of the year? Probably. And I feel like over the last couple of weeks, the build to the Elimination Chamber was a good time, and I feel like we're only going to get better from here, man. I'm really looking forward to the road to WrestleMania. I think Triple H is going to do us good leading up to April 1st and April 2nd, excuse me, and I can't wait for it, man. So leave your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber down below in the comments, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support me, you can do so in a few ways. You can hit the join button down below and become a channel member. Also, Noah Nation merchandise, as you can see on the screen, is available for all my channels down below in the description box as well. Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Probably going to do that Austin Theory versus Edge preview before Monday Night Raw. I think there's a little bit more of a situation to dive into there, more than what I said in this video, so stay tuned for that. And also, there'll be some more content coming this week right here on the Noah Nation Wrestling YouTube channel. So thank you guys for checking out this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.